Hi everybody. So this week we're continuing with our theme of letting things go, and we're doing kind of versions of it and aspects of letting go. So this week I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about moods and feelings and what happens when the mind gets in there to explain moods and feelings. So, for example, have you ever woken up in the morning and you've been in kind of a funk? Or you've been going through your day and everything's been fine, and then suddenly a feeling comes over you and it's like not comfortable. Now, in both situations, what you're going to notice is the mind wants to jump in there and it wants to explain those feelings, because the mind loves to have things neatly packaged with a bow on it, completely logical and explained. It doesn't like open endings, really. So what you'll notice in the morning, for example, if you wake up and you're in a funk, you're going to notice your mind scans through your environment, through your life, through what's going to be happening in your day, and it tries to attribute your feelings to some event outside of it. So it tries to say, oh, you know why you're feeling this funk this morning? It's because you've got a busy day ahead and you've got to deal with a lot of things and you're juggling a lot of things. That's why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Or, for example, if your day's been going great and then suddenly this feeling comes over you, you've got an uncomfortable feeling, once again, your mind will jump in there and it'll want to explain what's going on. It's like this constant narrator that runs through our lives. And I know this week in one of the posts that I put on Facebook, I mentioned a quote that my daughter had said years ago, and she said, "There's no silence in quiet." And that's because our mind is constantly narrating our life. And it does this even with energy that's coming through us that we don't necessarily like, that feels uncomfortable. It comes to us as a feeling. Our mind wants to explain it. So it just keeps going on and on. So if you're going through your day and suddenly you have this uncomfortable feeling, once again, the mind's going to jump in there and it's going to want to explain it. So it'll look at your life, it'll look at what's coming up, it'll look at what's right in front of you, and it'll say, oh, do you know what? I know why you're feeling this way. You're feeling this way because there's a big cupcake right in front of you at this office meeting and you want to eat it, but you don't want to eat it in front of everybody else because you know you once you eat a cupcake, you're going to want to eat more, and you don't want everybody to know that you like to eat a lot of cupcakes. Anything. I mean, your mind will just explain it, and if it makes sense, you're going to accept that. So for this week, what I'd love for you to notice is how the mind works in that way. And what if, when you're feeling something that doesn't feel comfortable, or you're in a funk or whatever, what if instead of, having the mind jump in, what if you were to experiment and see if you just let it be, what would happen? So what would happen if you didn't have to explain your funk? If you didn't have to explain why you were feeling the way you were feeling to yourself or to anybody else? What if it just was the way it was? Pretending you didn't have the capacity for language, like babies who don't have to explain all their moods. They're just in their moods. Notice what happens when the mind doesn't jump in there and attribute an explanation to a feeling. What you're going to notice, so see if this is true for you, what you're going to notice is it moves on. It will just naturally move on, because that's the nature of our feelings. They're going to move on, and we don't need to label them all the time. We don't need to attribute them to something else, because inevitably when we do, that's when we create a big story around it, and when we dig deeper then into that feeling. So for this week, play with the idea of just letting feelings be. You don't need to jump in there and explain them. And if you do, that's okay too, but notice that you have. Okay? All right, till next week. Bye.